Author opinion of Dennis Kin at the history, geography and architecture, culture and life matters of Kazakhs in the program Discovering Kazakhstan.
On today's program, ocean life on the arid steppe, trick riding at the circus, and a beach inside a shopping mall. Salam, привет, and hello. I'm Dennis Kin, and today on Discovering Kazakhstan, we're discovering how to have fun in Kazakhstan's capital city, Astana. Astana is a young city. It's just about to celebrate its 20th birthday. But 2 decades ago, if you would have looked behind me, you would have seen nothing but the wide Eurasian steppe. In those 2 decades, this city has totally exploded in size. And whereas before, there wouldn't have been much to do here but ride a horse and swim in the river, there are now a million different ways to enjoy yourself in Astana. Come along as we explore how to have fun in the city that Kazakhs proudly call the capital of the Great Steppe. Astana is a place that likes to do things big. It has the world's biggest glass pyramid, the world's biggest tent, and the city itself is a mega project, a capital city built out of the steppe. It's no surprise then that when the city wanted to build a Ferris wheel, which is a beloved attraction that you can find in parks throughout Kazakhstan, they didn't build just any old Ferris wheel. They built a Ferris wheel which at 65 meters tall is the largest Ferris wheel in all of Kazakhstan. For a Ferris wheel of this size, those kind of normal cars that look like swinging teacups won't really suffice. For one thing, I think there's a safety concern when you're going that high up, but also in a climate like we have here in Astana with freezing cold winters and pretty hot summers, it actually works well to have gondolas like these, where you go inside, they've got heating, cooling, and you're going to be comfortable all year long. Спасибо. Ferris wheels, of course, are a big deal for kids, but I think that they're actually fun for people of all ages. And I think that Ferris wheels are actually especially great for tourists, because when you come to a new place, it's great to come up here way above the city and get that bird's eye view. In a city like Astana that is changing so fast too, just look out at the horizon and look how many cranes there are, how many buildings are being constructed. It almost feels like by the time you go around once, the next time you go around, you're going to have a totally different view. Astana is being so quickly transformed. I've been coming to Astana for years and I have a lot of friends here and even some family. So I thought I would check in with them on social media and share the beautiful view from up here, atop the tallest Ferris wheel in Kazakhstan. Hey everybody out there, I'm atop the tallest Ferris wheel in the entire country. I'm 65 meters up above Astana, and check out this gorgeous view. You can probably hear from up here the wind. Astana is famous for being a windy city, and especially when you're up here you can really feel it. But this is a well-built kind of contraption here, and I feel totally safe. Most importantly, I feel super comfortable because even though it can be a little bit chilly during Astana Springs, in here we've got some nice heating. Apparently in the summer they have air conditioning. This is a place where you feel comfortable all year round. And Astana is also a place where you have beautiful weather, beautiful blue skies all year round. So just check out those clouds. From up here, you can see Khan Shatir. You can see the pyramid over there in the distance. All of the icons of Astana are visible from up here on top of the Ferris wheel. consider myself lucky to have grown up in California in a beach town along the Pacific Ocean, where even in our small town we had an oceanarium. But, you know, it never really held that much interest for me because the ocean was right there. It didn't have much mystery. But now that I live in Kazakhstan, I totally understand the appeal. It's a landlocked country without access to any ocean water. And so to be able to see those kind of sea creatures is really a thrill. That's why today we're going to a place that is sought out by fun seekers all over Astana. It's an oceanarium with unusual distinction. The oceanarium that is the farthest from the ocean than any in the world. Hello, thank you. Now, just because Kazakhstan doesn't have giant octopi, it doesn't mean that it doesn't have marine life. This is a country that is rich in rivers and lakes, and it's a place where people love to go fishing and really appreciate that kind of fish that they have. There's a whole section here that says Fish of Kazakhstan. And perhaps the most famous of all Kazakh fish is the asoto, or the sturgeon. These big fish are prized for their meat, but also for their roe, because it is sturgeon roe that we call caviar. And they're also just fun to look at for oceanarium goers with their funny little mouths and their whiskers like cats. I could sit here and chat with them for days. Hello, hola, amigo. I've noticed that people in Kazakhstan have this affinity for crocodiles, even though, as far as I know, there are no crocodiles that live in Kazakhstan. And most Kazakhstanis have never seen a crocodile with their own eyes. But I think that a lot of people grew up watching these Soviet cartoons, and one of the most famous characters is a crocodile named Gena.
Прилетит вдруг волшебник в голубом вертолете и бесплатно покажет кино. С днем рождения поздравит и, наверное, оставит мне в подарок 500 эскимо.
If you come to the oceanarium in Astana, everybody is always looking for Gena. And there he is, hanging out inside this tank, looking quite content. And you can see that he's even made friends with the red-eared turtles that are inside. They're all crowding around him, sharing the local gossip. I think that an oceanarium or a zoo or a museum should be immersive. You should feel wrapped up in the wonder of it all. And for me, the most wondrous place at this oceanarium is this tunnel, 70 meters long. You can walk through here and feel like you're walking on the sea floor with all of these fish swimming around you. And they've really gone all out. They even have a sunken ship. This part of the oceanarium, I think, has to be one of my favorites because you can see these sea turtles swimming right over the tunnel. And they have this certain aura about them, don't they? They're very relaxed, peaceful, beautiful creatures. I think I could spend all day here just watching them swim around. If you thought the tuna feeding show was cool, check this out. A real live Kazakh mermaid. This talented young girl comes in here every single day to feed the fish, dressed up in this outfit. I don't know how she can swim around with such grace I guess it must take a lot of practice. What I'd like to see though is that when she's in there, all the fish crowd around her. They know that as soon as the mermaid has come to town, it is time to eat. In this hall, we can learn about a little-known species of local wildlife, the Kazakh flying penguin. These penguins fly from the South Pole to spend the new year on the Kazakh steppe every year. No, I'm just kidding. This is just an exhibit about Arctic wildlife. But given the Arctic temperatures here in the winter, I think these penguins would be quite comfortable in Astana. In a country that is as high and dry as Kazakhstan, the ocean is an exotic sight. But perhaps just as unusual for a country that's mostly arid, treeless steppe is the jungle. That's why in Astana you can also find an animatronic theater where these legends and monsters of the jungle come alive. Open sesame. Oh, it worked. He's waking up after a long nap. Well, you can let me in, buddy? This is pretty cool. Let's go. Why is there an animatronic reggae band playing in the jungle in Kazakhstan? Why not? This is a fantasy world where you should expect the unexpected. One thing I have to say about this animatronic theater is that there's a very drastic shift in tone. 1 minute you're dancing with some reggae playing forest creatures, and the next minute there's some T-Rex that looks like it wants to bite your head off. Can you smell me? I feel like I'm in a video game and this is the final boss. I'm crossing over the bridge through some Aztec temple, not knowing what will await me. So this was the final boss we were waiting for, I guess. A cute little Triceratops. I like him a lot better because he's an herbivore. I know he's not going to eat me. If there's one place that is the center of fun in Astana, especially during the warm summer months, it is this monument that stands in the middle of the new town's Nurjol Boulevard. It's called Baytarek. It was built to commemorate the move of the capital from Almaty to Astana in 1997, and it since has become an iconic site, featured on the 200 tenge bill and seen in miniature in villages. And if you thought the view from atop that Ferris wheel was amazing, just wait till you see the view here in the middle of the new city, seen through the tinted glass of the sphere. Part of the fun of taking the bike to deck experience is just the elevator ride itself. You have this amazing glass elevator, and from here you have a magnificent view over the entire city. If you're looking for a good place to have a date with your loved one, I can't think of a better place to sit and have a cup of coffee than the cafe that's on the lower level of the observation deck. Looking out here, you have a straight view all the way down to the Khan Shatir complex and Norgerol Boulevard. Especially in the evenings, I can't think of a more romantic place to sit with the one you love. Now I just have to remember to invite my wife here. When you finally reach the very top level, the view opens up even more so that you have a 360-degree view of the entire city. And here in the middle of the space is a place that always makes people smile because it's involved in a kind of modern ritual that almost any Kazakh person can tell you about. Here in the very center is a handprint, and it's the handprint of the president of Kazakhstan. And people come and they say that if you put your hand here, it's a symbol of good luck. You wouldn't know it from the dreary depictions of Soviet life in the West, but actually in the Soviet Union, having fun was a state priority. Every city had an amusement park and movie theaters, and there was a surprising amount of state circuses. That's why in Astana you shouldn't be surprised when you see the flying saucer, because this is the Astana Circus. It was only built in 2005, but the tradition of going to the circus harkens back generations now. And every single year, new parents and grandparents take their kids to see the clowns, acrobats, and circus animals. We got a special invitation to visit the circus on an off day. But what's remarkable about Kazakh circuses is just how often they're open for business. In America, you might have one weekend a year that the traveling circus comes to town. But in Astana, you can come and see acrobatic feats throughout much of the year. The Astana Circus is apparently the first place in the world to introduce this act, hoverboard acrobatics. These two-wheeled contraptions that balance with gyroscopes have become a worldwide phenomenon, including in Kazakhstan. When you walk around the streets of Astana, you will always see kids on these. But these acrobats have this amazing otherworldly skill of balance, and I think it was only a matter of time before they would think to get up on there and show off what they can do. This here is Pele the pelican, a special kind of pink pelican that apparently is from Spain. And she's very talented. Her trick in particular is catching these colorful balls. Pele, come here. Come here. Oh, excuse me. Hey. I couldn't tell whether Pele wanted to give me a kiss or wanted to bite my neck. Oh. These young men on horseback are called jigits, which in Kazakh means a horseback warrior or a young man, because it was expected that every young man would be a horseback warrior in these steppe societies. And the sport that they practice is called jigitovka. It's a kind of traditional sport where men ride horses and do all sorts of amazing acrobatics, all from the back of the animal. And what was remarkable is that I learned that jigitovka actually has some history in America. This performance done by a young lady named Harlan is called the ladder balance, and is striking the combination of skills that are needed for this. On one hand, her opening act very much reminded me of ballet or gymnastics. It was very graceful, and then all of a sudden the sword is balanced on her forehead, and she has to climb up this ladder and show such great agility and balance. So she has to be both an artist and an athlete. This kind of sport reminds me of the modern day sport of slacklining, where you take these stretchy cords and put them between trees and do flips and jumps and practice your balancing skills. But actually, this kind of rope walking has been popular in Central Asia for centuries, apparently. You can actually find old photos where Uzbek and Uyghur circus troops would travel through Kazakh yurt camps and put on these kind of performances for local fairs. So it's very possible that this kind of act here is not some kind of modern innovation, but something that has long roots. Outside the circus, there's a nice little park where families often come and walk and have picnics. And in the middle of the park, there's this fantastic fountain with these funny sculptures of bears playing accordions and monkeys riding unicycles. And it's hard to look at this fountain and not to smile. But then again, it's hard to go to the circus and not have fun. In the circus park, you can also find a set of sculptures that were donated to Astana from the nearby city of Karaganda. And they depict various characters from Kazakh folk tales. It turns out that even before the clowns came to town, there's been a long tradition in Central Asia of characters who are tricksters and wise fools. And perhaps the most famous is Aldar Kose. He was a kind of village character who nevertheless satirized the rich and powerful with his puzzles and jokes. In the sculpture series, you can also say hello to Kangbak Shal, an old man who would tumble through the steppe like a tumbleweed, or Makhta Kuz, Cotton Girl, a young heroine who must go on a quest for her cat. Every culture has folktales, but Kazakhs especially love these characters. For centuries, Kazakhs had no written language, and these stories, passed down orally, were an important way to entertain and educate. And they still are to this day. There can't be many other places in the world where you can actually visit the former presidential office of a sitting head of state. But this was President Nazarbayev's office from 1997 until 2004, when he moved to the new residence at Aport. After his move, they kept everything in perfect order as it was when he worked here, including small interesting details like this desk. Even after his move, they kept everything exactly as it was when this was his actual office, including this set of telephones here, each one with the actual national seal printed on it that he would have used to call different ministers. You can realize what a busy man he could have been, ruling over millions of people in this new country. If you're meeting a head of state, you don't just bring along any old souvenir. You bring something that has some meaning and that shows your respect. That's why the exhibition hall at the museum that contains the gifts that have been given to President Nazarbayev is one of the most impressive places in the whole building, containing some true treasures. Here you can find paintings made out of gemstones, silver jewelry, golden scepters. In fact, there are so many great finds here, this room itself could be a museum all on its own. On the very top floor of the museum, there is a beautiful hall called the Cupola Room because of this huge dome above decorated in Kazakh patterns. And it was in this room that one of the most historic events in the history of Kazakhstan took place. The president sat here and made a decree that the capital of the country would move from Almaty to Akmola. Yes, Akmola. For a few years in the 1990s, the city actually carried its historic name before, after a year after this decree, it was renamed to Astana, the Kazakh word for capital. It may sound boring to some, but shopping malls are among the most popular places to hang out in Astana. If you keep in mind the extreme temperatures of the continental climate here, then you can understand why people would want to escape into these temples of commerce, to walk with their friends, eat some lunch, or maybe just do some shopping. But in Astana, shopping malls are not just shopping malls. Take Khan Shatyr. Not only is it an icon of the Astana landscape, it's also the world's tallest tent. Khan Shatyr is really this place in Astana where you never know who you're going to meet. The shopping malls in the city really tend to collect everybody because with the extreme weather here, it's the perfect place to beat the heat or beat the cold. So I wasn't surprised when I was in there to run into my old friend Sandra, who was riding the monorail, which I understand is your favorite part of the Khan Shatyr experience.
Yes, I think I've ridden it like 4 times. Every time I come to Astana, I have to ride it, so had to continue an old tradition and ride it again.
Designed by the British architect Norman Foster, Khan Shatyr is built using huge tent poles of steel that support a transparent plastic material. The fantastical shape of the building hints at the wonders inside, with a monorail, crazy rides, and some kind of show or concert almost every day. Khan Shatyr has become world famous, not just for its unique construction and size, but for a feature that I haven't seen anywhere else in the world. On the very top floor of this building, there's an actual beach with sand brought here from the Maldives. So even if it's freezing outside, you can come here, walk along the beach, and imagine that you're in the tropics. The water park, which you can see stretching all around the top floor here, certainly isn't as big as some other covered water parks in Astana, but it hardly matters when you can come out and look over the giant courtyard of Khan Shatyr. But despite its relatively small size, they've been able to fit a surprising amount under this canopy. There's a place to play soccer and volleyball, pools for kids and adults, and even a water slide. Walking along a white sand beach at the top of a tent in the second coldest capital city in the world seems like a total fantasy. But that's what Astana is all about, taking dreams and making them into reality. An oceanarium in the middle of the steppe? Sure, why not? A circus shaped like a flying saucer? Okay, let's do it. A tent with a beach in it. You know what? People here just don't say no, and they keep on dreaming. And I hope that you keep on dreaming too. Thank you for joining us today on Discovering Kazakhstan. Until next time, Sabol, Baka, and goodbye.